quite an endeavor solving houselessness locally. We'll highlight that on today's show. Got some feedback on metal detectors and how they're working or not working in Albemarle County Public Schools. We'll talk about the pros and cons of those on the program today. Live on Twitter. Did you get YouTube up and running, J-Dubs?
Yeah.
Fantastic. I'll confirm LinkedIn, and then we can get this party started. Hammer that like button, guys. Share the show, like the show. We appreciate you guys quite a bit. We are live on LinkedIn, J-Dubs. So it looks like the only thing we need to be live on is the group, right?
Group is live.
Group is live? Excellent. Yes, it is. Which headline most intrigues you and why? J-Dubs?
With everything going on, especially in the last day, it saddens me that we've got the kind of political strife and really, I'm going to go ahead and say hatred. I see a lot of hatred out there right now, and it worries me on both sides. I'm not signaling, pointing anyone out. And for Dems to say to Youngkin, hey, we're not going to approve any of your appointments from here on out, so don't even bother. That's kind of sad.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't make Youngkin look good. Did Youngkin deserve this? I'm also curious how this is going to trickle down to elections this year.
Yeah.
Talk about that on the program. Like and share the show, viewers and listeners. We're going to get rocking and rolling here in about T-minus 15 seconds. Judah, things are looking good on my end. We can start the program when you're ready.
Quiet on the set.
Good Thursday afternoon, guys. I'm Jerry Miller. Thank you kindly for joining us on the I Love CVille show. A pleasure to connect with you guys through the I Love CVille network. Busy show for us. The second to last I Love CVille show of the week. Programming reminder, next week, Monday through Friday, the I Love CVille show is off air as we are on vacation. Judah and his family, his sisters and his parents, will be enjoying sunshine and relaxation in the Outer Banks. My family and I and our boys enjoying much needed vacation as well. So next week, no programming on the I Love CVille network. We do return to regular programming, ladies and gentlemen, on Monday, September 22nd on the I Love CVille network, with Dr. Wayne Fry and Jeff Gaffney's The Everyday Faith show at 10:15 a.m. on Monday the 22nd, followed by the I Love CVille show at 12:30. A lot we're going to cover on the broadcast. By now you know Charlie Kirk, who clearly is and was a polarizing figure, a right-wing political activist, author, media personality, entrepreneur, Trump ally, shot and killed. He has a wife and 2 children, outspoken, to say the least. Some of the topics he's chosen to be outspoken upon, borderline inflammatory at best, in the category of racism and hatred, most likely.
I don't know about that.
Judah may disagree with me on that. That's his prerogative. And that's, I guess, what I'm trying to highlight. We don't have to agree with each other. We don't have to disagree with each other. I'd rather live in a community where there's opinions and different schools of thought that challenge me, even potentially irk and anger me, but get me to feel something and get me to think. Some ways we try to do that with this show. Regardless, someone's murder is not a cause for celebration. And someone's murder is not a cause for he got what he deserved. The murder of Charlie Kirk and the response that I see, he got what he deserved, is like in the same category of people who say she was wearing barely any clothes or she shouldn't have been dressed like that and that's why she got raped.
It's despicable. And
It's not something that I find, sensible, not something that I even understand. Today's culture, and it's without question the cause and effect of social media. Today's world, today's mankind, today's humanity is one that is so much colder and so much quicker to cast judgment and hatred. Has the country ever been more divided than right now? And goodness, this hatred and this line in the sand division is something our kids are watching. It's all over social media. It's all over Instagram. It's all over TikTok, all over YouTube, all over Snapchat. Our children are watching this. Our 7-year-old asked about this. When did humanity become so inhumane? When did our first reaction as men and women become one to lead with hatred and vitriol and venom instead of empathy and kindness and patience? My wife sent me the news yesterday. Then she sent me the unfortunate news of the school shooting that happened soon thereafter Charlie Kirk's murder. Hug your loved ones. Tell them you love them. I did yesterday. Judah Wickower, you and I disagree often on the program. I think it makes for a good show. Mm-hmm. Our personalities, polar opposites. I think it makes for a good show. We clash. I think it makes for a good show. I look forward to the disagreement. Perhaps maybe you not as much. Perhaps you do. I found a lot of what the late Charlie Kirk said to be inflammatory and in some cases today's version of racism.
See, the problem is
sexism and hate. You disagree. And here's an example of us disagree.
The problem I see is that, the problem I've seen in the last day or so is that a lot of people are quoting him and, as is so often the case, taking the quotes out of context. They're using it to paint a picture of him as callous. They're using a picture to paint a picture of him as all different kinds of things. They're using this to essentially put a stamp on their own hatred, and I find it disingenuous, to put it extremely kindly. He may have been inflammatory. I don't see.
May have been inflammatory.
I would have. Yes, he may have been inflammatory to some people, but I would seriously ask someone to point me to anything racist that he said. He may have sounded callous at times, but he, I believe, always engaged people in good faith when people approached him to debate a subject.
I think there's significant list, a deep list of examples of inflammatory commentary. And he is a commentator He is an activist. Their role as commentators and activists, in part, is to be inflammatory, because that's what drives emotion and engagement. A lot of his takes on race, I think, are right there in the category of racism.
Okay.
Hard to argue with some of the things he said. But what I will say, and I think you and I are both in agreement with, freedom of speech is what our country is in large part about.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with you with that about that, and the fact that somebody targeted him because they disagreed with the things that he said. Putting two and two together and looking at some of the recent happenings in Charlottesville, I can't help but notice that there are people that are afraid to come in front of the city council meeting.
That's a perfect segue. Let's segue into that.
Because of the exact thing that we saw during the meeting.
Yeah. Last week, the woman that's in charge with leading the pro-business lobbying group of the city said there's hundreds of people that are in my corner that are supporting what I'm doing here with this homeless ordinance, where you can't camp in public owned and city-owned property. But they were afraid to come and speak before council because they were afraid of being canceled at the very least. There are threads on Reddit, for example, where Redditors are trying to dox local business owners on their political ideology, whether they voted for Donald Trump or not. Open list, a crowdsourced list that is growing every day.
The hatred is out there.
The hatred is so tangible and palpable. Is there this higher power that is working to seed or instill hatred in our society, in our country?
I don't think we need anyone.
Or is it just at our doing with innovation like social media that is causing people to pick a side? When it's largely said and done, I think the very vast majority of Americans are center-aisled. The very vast majority of Americans are straddling a line in the middle of Republican and Democrat. And we cherry pick a few apples of ideology from one party and apples of ideology from the other party. And those cherry-picked fruits are who we are. And we may or not disagree or agree with our neighbors, but we're all pretty much centered. We want our kids to have a better situation than us. We want the next generation to have a better situation than our generation. We want to be seen, heard, and understood. We all have that common element to who we are. We want to be seen, heard, and understood. We want to have some income to cover our shelter, our food, and other needs. We want to find a loved one and a partner, regardless of sexuality. We want each day to be a little bit better than the next, if that's possible. I think the vast majority of Americans even have a mindset of golden rule. The vast majority. Chief Kochis talked on this show when he was kind enough to join us. Was it a couple weeks ago? It was last week. Chief Kochis said that in the city of Charlottesville and in central Virginia, it's 15 to 20 people that are causing the violence, the gun violence. He said it's like 15 to 20 people that are causing the violence. That is just a reflection of our country as a whole. It's such a small sprinkling of the people that are causing the divide. You throw in a polarizing president that's run for 3 consecutive terms, that's continued to be in the news cycle for, 10, 11 years, if not longer.
Yeah.
You throw in some social media where misinformation or hate can spread at the blink of an eye. You throw in some economic challenges with housing being more expensive than ever and people struggling just to pay their rent, cover their mortgage, or even secure rent or a mortgage. You add some food insecurity into the pot, and you have a recipe for explosiveness and violence and anger and hate. Mm-hmm. And yesterday, in front of a lot of people, there was a man 200 or however many yards, I think it was 200 yards away,
yeah,
with a sniper rifle and a scope, who chose to take the life of a husband and a father of 2, shot him in the neck because he didn't like what he had to say. And soon after that, a young man goes into a school with a handgun in the Denver, Colorado area, mm-hmm. tries to kill his classmates before trying to take his own life. And that, ladies and gentlemen, was just Wednesday, September 10th, 2025. And today, on Thursday, September 11th, 2025, we commemorate the anniversary of the most significant terrorist attack in American history. Back-to-back days.
Yeah.
Wild time. Anything you want to add to that?
No, I think I want to thank everyone out there who's posts, memorials for him that I've seen, for being respectful. I've seen some truly disgusting things online about him, and I find it hard to believe that there are so many people that glorify anyone's murder, and so I'm very much appreciative that I think most of the people that watch us and most of the people that that I know and am close with are not those kinds of people. I appreciate all of you out there, and please do not push hate in any way ever. There's never a reason to hate.
Holly Foster watching in Henrico. She says, the hate is awful. Remember 9/11? We all came together and prayed and loved each other. How soon we forget. Absolutely, Holly. Jeremy Wilson in Eastern Tennessee. If Congress and the Senate would publicly stand together hand in hand and say no more, we can disagree, but violence is never the answer. But their childish behavior and violent tendencies with words are the fuel that starts the fires. I think that's certainly some of the fuel.
Oftentimes it is.
I think, unfortunately, how social media is built, hate and negative emotion is what really drives the algorithm, because that drives engagement. Where happiness and positive emotion is deprioritized.
Yeah, I think too that our the doom scroll has trained us and desensitized us so that we can watch the murder of someone live and 5 seconds later go on scrolling, and I think that desensitization, that lack of of time to stop and consider is makes a lot of these types of actions much easier for some people to even contemplate.
Yeah. The doom scroll is turning us into cold, hardened humans. Some of the stuff we see in the doom scroll is stuff we were never intended to see when men and women were made. We're desensitized. Mm-hmm. I see it with our kids with the doom scroll. Comments coming in. Margie King Collins. To blame an entire party for the act of one individual is ridiculous. For anyone to condone what happened is disgraceful. It doesn't matter what party you're affiliated with or what you stand for. This was a human being who lost his life, a father and a husband. Holy cow, he was younger than my daughter. Anyone laughing or putting a positive spin on this should be sent to hell. Vanessa Parkhill. So do we now define disagreement or difference of opinion as inflammatory rhetoric?
Unfortunately, I think a lot of people do.
I think, and Vanessa's made this comment before, we have the right to free speech, but there are consequences to free speech. And the consequences should never be taking of someone's life.
100%.
Which is what happened here.
Yeah.
But there is consequences to free speech.
Yeah.
Carol Thorpe, with respect, I think many people consider your commentary as inflammatory. Absolutely, they do. I think I highlighted that.
The problem, I think, oftentimes is that those who disagree are not listening for the actual content.
They're listening for buzzwords.
They're listening for reasons to disagree, and I think a lot of the what people would call racist remarks were taken out of context, and I think just like what she is saying, a lot of people may be listening to us and taking things out of context.
And a lot of people have their mind made up before they're listening or choosing to listen to learn.
100%.
They already have like an image or someone sized up before they are willing to listen to learn.
Take the camping ban ordinance for instance.
The camping ban ordinance is a perfect example.
It was immediately vilified as criminalizing the homeless, but nobody stopped to actually put their mental capacity into working out what the real purpose of it was. They just came to the meeting angry and shaking their fists.
And that's because of the activism led by Livable CVille and Nakia Walker, who caused that to happen. The camping ordinance where they gave the houseless who are camping on public property a 10 days notice and then offer to store their belongings for 60 days free of charge was an ordinance rooted in empathy and humanity. The whole point of the ordinance was to go above and beyond. And then what took it even further was it was council who birthed the idea of the ordinance, but when 200 activists crowd council chambers and start screaming at Greer and Chief Kachis, you saw that council didn't have the courage to say it was us who did it.
Right, but I think the bigger problem is that all those people that came shaking their fists just read something that somebody posted. They never stopped.
They read a headline.
They never stopped to actually think, and everybody keeps talking about. Everyone keeps talking about the contents of the camping ban ordinance, and not the fact that it is not meant to be used as a blanket across all of Charlottesville. People focus too much on it's giving a fine, it's doing this, it's doing that. Look, it's a law that is a framework over which the police can work. It's not meant to be, police are not going to be spreading out across the entirety of Charlottesville and using the camping ban to kick the homeless out of our city. That's not what it's for. That's not what is going to happen. But these people have created this this enemy in their minds that doesn't exist, and they fight it tooth and nail, even if it means
delusion.
Yeah.
Even if it means tricking themselves and their mind into an alternate universe that is far from the reality of what they're reading in the newspaper, hearing on the show, or seeing on the public stream for a local council meeting. Think about the delusion of tricking yourself into something that an ordinance like this is criminalizing homelessness, when instead it's offering grace to the homeless. And think about tricking yourself into a reality where you think you're doing mankind a positive by killing a right-wing commentator and activist for the better of society. That's delusion.
Mm-hmm.
Bill McChesney, Charlie's tagline was "Convince me otherwise." Does that seem familiar? I'm not sure what he's referencing there. Chad Wood, shooting and killing people, then calling for peace. It's getting old. Comments are coming in faster than I can keep up with here. Kate Schartz, welcome to the broadcast. Bob Sefik, comments are coming in extremely fast right now. Bob Sefik, we need a renewed focus on the humanities. That defines our humanity. While at many universities they are being cut. Alex Edmonds' book, May Contain Lies, is a great example of headline bias, critical thinking needed. Yeah. That's what we try to do on the show, is to go beyond the headline. That's what we did yesterday with the tourism headline. The tourism headline that's everywhere right now is the $1 billion in tourism generated in Charlottesville and Albemarle County in 2024. But beyond the headline was the real story that tourism in Charlottesville City in 2024 was down 1 percentage point versus 2023. Wow, and in 2025, it's down versus 2024. So we have a trend line. That's the headline. That's the lead. That's what the story should be. Mm-hmm. That's why I think you watch. Interesting, and I guess we can rotate lower thirds on screen. Why don't you put the lower third for Chief Kachis and Juan Wade? On Tuesday at 8:30, and remember the I Love CVille network is off all of next week while we're on vacation. I'm out. Judah's with his family in the Outer Banks. My wife and I and our boys, much deserved time together. Tuesday at 8:30 a.m. I'm really curious to see how this goes. There's a question and answer, a Q&A with the mayor, Juan Diego Wade, and the police chief, Mike Kachis. It's on in downtown Charlottesville.
I'm not sure what it's hoping to accomplish.
I hope it's not just window dressing, where it's like kumbaya with the police department and with council, and that the perception from last week was there was council leaving the police department and its chief on an island exposed with this hatred from activists in council chambers. I hope it's not just trying to be window dressing and perception management. I hope in this question and answer setting, Juan Diego Wade has the self-respect and the commitment to support Chief Kachis by saying this: it was council who came up with this ordinance and instructed them to do it. It was our idea to move this forward. And how I handled that meeting last week was in poor form, because I didn't keep hecklers in check. And I allowed Greer, Achenbach, and Mike Kachis to be heckled with nastiness. When if it was the activists that were speaking before council, and if others had chosen to heckle the activists, they would have been escorted from council chambers. If Greer Achenbach was not a white woman who was pro-business in downtown Charlottesville, but instead was a person of color that was speaking about houselessness, resources, and support, and if those in the audience had chosen to heckle the person of color who was speaking about houselessness and support, those in the audience would have been immediately escorted out of council chambers. They would have maybe given one chance, and that one chance that would have been offered would not have been the mayor saying, please, please, please. He would have, in a loud, stern voice, would have said, you stop, this is your last opportunity, or the police officer will take you out of here. But that's not what happened. The mayor, Juan Wade, was frankly, in the management of that meeting, disillusioned himself. Disillusioned that he either intentionally or subconsciously thought those in attendance reflected the majority of people in the city. And if that's what he thinks, then he's not in touch with today's reality in the city.
Yeah.
And I know Juan Wade, and I hope he hears what I'm saying. Someone should let him know that we're saying this in front of a lot of people listening to this program. I find him to be a reasonable man, a sensible person, a father, a husband, a civic steward, a steward of civic engagement, and of Albemarle County and Charlottesville. But the Juan Wade I saw presiding over that council meeting last week was not the Juan Wade that people elected into office, and certainly not the Juan Wade he wants to be himself when he looks at himself in the mirror. Because the Juan Wade I know, if it was a person of color talking about homelessness and supporting the homelessness, Juan Wade would never have allowed that person to be heckled. But he allowed Greer Achenbach to be attacked and his police chief to be embarrassed in front of a packed council chambers, and even more that we're watching on the stream. Every media outlet covered it afterwards. Juan Wade's management of that meeting did more from a negativity standpoint and more from a tarnishing the brand equity standpoint of police than anything Kachis has done since he's arrived here. And Kachis didn't even have control of it.
No. In fact, I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Greer deserves a lot of respect for the courage she showed going up there.
But we need to highlight this. We need to highlight this. She is getting paid to do this. Okay.
If you look at her body language, I'm not a body language expert, but she was standing with her looking to the side and the back, and I think she genuinely was at least partially afraid that somebody was going to come up behind her.
Oh, I 1,000% agree with you. Greer felt threatened in that meeting.
Yeah.
The body language, I 1,000% agree with you.
I don't care if she's getting paid or not.
Yeah.
She went up there and spoke, and you can see the discomfort in her as she's talking. Looking to the side and behind her to make sure that none of these people are coming up with a weapon.
Yeah.
And the fact that nothing was done to quiet the crowd is almost unconscionable.
Unconscionable from the mayor, who's in charge. That's his responsibility over these meetings. I hope Juan Wade hears this. Okay, someone should tag him. Unconscionable. And again, I'll reiterate the double standard if it was not a white woman talking pro-business there.
Yeah.
And your body language analysis is 100% accurate. She felt threatened and scared.
Yeah.
Even Chief Kachis multiple times when doing his presentation had to compose himself and give himself a minute. You can see it in the clips we played on the show.
Yeah.
It's delusion. So Juan Wade on Tuesday, the expectation from the community is the start of the Tuesday 8:30 meeting is an apology from you. is an apology from you, sir, of what you allowed to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Print, radio, and television watching the broadcast as we speak. City Hall watching the broadcast as we speak. Elected officials watching the broadcast as we speak. Deep Throat says, not just unconscionable, but legally dubious too. Council is not executing the standards of conduct in a viewpoint neutral way. I 1,000% agree with that as well. Yeah. John Blair's comment. I hope you and Judah have a great week off. I think we can only pray that providence itself washes over our society and uplifts our souls to a spirit of compromise and understanding. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. John Blair. We got news we got to get to on the program. How about the Dave Norris headline? If you put that on,
let's see,
on screen as a lower third, and Dave Norris knows about dealing and struggling with activism that portrays him negatively. Dave Norris was hung in effigy, in Market Street Park when it was formerly Lee Park during the Occupy Wall Street, Occupy Charlottesville movement. Mm-hmm. When City Council and City Hall at the time allowed the park, arguably I'd say its most visible one in the city, its most prominent one because of the gateway to downtown. Mm-hmm. It became an Occupy Wall Street, Occupy Charlottesville epicenter, one that was so dangerous that rape whistles were handed out because women who were camping in this encampment were being raped by other people living in the encampment. Stabbings, violence, open-air drug use. The mayor hung in effigy. Mm-hmm. This concept of creating encampments strategically around the city, understand the Pandora's box you're opening yourself up to. It's not just a Pandora's box of taxpayer resources allocated to creating the camp, but it's a message that Charlottesville is welcoming to anyone from around the region that is looking for an encampment and infrastructure that goes with it, and the potential of violence that can result in these encampments. We've already seen it. Remember the Sandersville, the encampment at Market Street Park just a little while ago in early Sam Sanders' tenure? NBC 29 did an interview. It was either NBC 29 or CBS 19 with one of the campers in Sandersville and Market Street Park. And on the television interview, they wanted to host an open house for the Market Street Park encampment. And interviewing the camper, he's like, "We're going to host an open house. We're going to have
cookies and Narcan,
brownies and cookies for the kids to come by. We'll also have free Narcan for anyone that needs it. Come to our open house at the Market Street Park encampment with Sandersville." That was like the icing on the cake that dashed Sandersville. Someone in local media, and props and kudos to the TV station for getting the best soundbite ever. Someone camping in Market Street Park that's like, we want to humanize and localize this encampment. We want everyone to come. We got chocolate chip cookies and double Dutch fudge brownies for the kids to come by, and goodness gracious, we'll have all the Narcan you need. Come on over to our open house.
I think I'll pass.
Literally the soundbite. I think we played it on the show. How's Dave Norris proposing he's going to solve homelessness and houseless here locally, Judah?
I don't know if he's proposing that he will solve it, but he says that we came close to solving it not too long ago. He points out the fact that, and this is an article in Charlottesville Tomorrow written by Dave Norris just a couple days ago. It's actually interesting. I think he makes a lot of good points. He talks about the fact that in the 1950s and 60s, homelessness declined to a point where people thought that it might actually completely disappear by the 70s, which obviously it didn't. However, he talks about the fact that in 2012, we built the Virginia Supportive Housing, which is now Support Works Housing, built the crossings at 4th and Preston. And the number of homeless people, the number of chronically homeless people, because of that building, dropped almost 60%. The problem, he says, is that we sat after we built it, we patted ourselves on the back, sat down, and forgot about it. And if we had kept up, if we're now building another one, if we had built more, if we had put into place some of the things that we need to help these people, then we wouldn't be at this point now. He talks about the fact that shelters are just a Band-Aid. And like I said, says systems need to change so that fewer people fall into homelessness in the first place. Obviously, we're not going to build, no one's going to build enough just plain old regular houses to solve any of the problems in Charlottesville right now. We've seen in a year and a half that, it's just not happening. So I think he makes some good points. I think Support Works Housing is working on something. I think that will help. I think we need to be smart about this. I think that's the biggest thing, is that we need to be intelligent and not just emotional. What we saw in the city council meeting was emotion that lacks any kind of intellectual railing.
Intellectual innovation, intellectual strategy, plan.
Yeah.
Here, the challenge that council has, though, let's say it's about creating the crossings, right? Which is what, over there next to Wendy's and McDonald's, right?
I think so, yeah.
Right across from the county office building, right off Preston.
4th and Preston, yeah.
All right, let's just say that's the case, right? We need to build one of these. Let's think about a timeline, okay? Mm-hmm. They're saying just for a low barrier shelter, we're more than a year away. And they got the money already earmarked for it, for the low barrier shelter, right? Yeah. They got the money for it. They had a site in Fifeville for it. Mm-hmm. Had a site in Fifeville, the old Salvation Army thrift store. All council straight up saying we're more than a year away from having a low barrier shelter. They're genuinely telling everyone we cannot find someone that will take money from us, taxpayers, to run a low barrier shelter as the operator, whether in the for-profit space or the non-profit space.
Yeah.
And as a result, we're more than a year away from this low barrier shelter that Dave Norris calls, did he call it not the solution? Did he basically call it a Band-Aid?
He said it's a Band-Aid.
He said a Band-Aid. Okay. So he's saying what really needs to happen is housing to be built, right?
Well, Vista 29 should have its doors open in 2026.
Yeah. Okay. Good example. We can't get out of our own way to do a low barrier shelter.
Yeah.
We can't get out of our own way to build, take that historic building on Wortland and turn it into more housing, when everybody wants more housing locally, or at least it appears to be. The majority of people want less housing friction for units to come on market. Developers are coming to council saying, we want this historic building on Wortland torn down for housing. People are coming on Bo Carrington and Wendell Wood trying to come on market for housing on High Street. Chris Henry trying to come on market for phase 2 or phase 3 of Dairy Market.
Yeah.
Like, there's a long list of examples of people that are actually trying to build housing. And take the low barrier shelter. You would think the low barrier shelter was like a fart from the devil with how Fifeville responded to the low barrier shelter. Like Lucifer was pooting with how Fifeville responded to the low barrier shelter.
To be fair to Fifeville, Their response was no different than any other neighborhoods that was told what they were told.
I don't think there's a single neighborhood locally that's going to want a low barrier shelter in the neighborhood.
No, of course not. So
Yeah.
we can't single out CVille.
Okay, I agree with you. So we're in agreement that the reality of a low barrier shelter is probably not that great, right?
Probably not that great. I agree. Yeah.
Like they're basically saying they can't find anybody to run it, and we will give them a bag of money to do it. It's hundreds of thousands of dollars that they have earmarked for somebody to run it, and they can't find anyone to run it.
Yeah.
Then the real problem is they can't even find a location for it.
Maybe they could get what are they called again? Block to block, block by block.
The Louisville janitors to run the shelter?
Maybe they could run the shelter
City
too.
Council's allocating $1.2 million to a bunch of janitors from Louisville to keep the downtown mall clean. And Chief Conscious is telling City Council that you're going to pay Louisville janitors to keep the mall clean and give them $1.2 million of taxpayer resources, but you're not going to put a framework in place for disallowing camping in public setting? I linked it to the example of our family German Shepherd, Max, who's a shedding freak, laying in the oriental rug in our living room in the dead center, and my wife taking the Dyson vacuum and vacuuming all around him and not asking Max, the German Shepherd, to get off his favorite spot in the middle of the oriental rug. These janitors from Louisville are literally going to have to clean and sweep around Max, the German Shepherd, on the downtown mall.
Yeah.
Wild times we live in. Let's see Tuesday how Wade responds, the mayor responds.
Mm-hmm.
How do you think he's going to respond?
I mean, I'm not sure what they're hoping to accomplish, so it's hard for me to fathom how he's going to respond in this.
You know what they're trying to accomplish.
No, what?
You know what they're trying to accomplish.
After
It's a kumbaya moment. You know that.
Okay.
This is the invitation. You're invited, Jerry, to a Q&A with the police chief and the mayor to discuss the ordinance on camping and storage that was recently tabled. There's, I don't know, a couple hundred people invited to this.
I mean, is it an olive branch to the police department and Chief Conscious, as well as those of us who were shocked and disturbed by the fact that that the city council meeting was so
Yeah, that's what I think it is.
inhospitable?
That's what I think it is. That's 100% what I think it is. It's just an olive branch that, like, dude, we really got your back here. And it didn't come across like we had your back.
But we really do.
But we really do. And we need to have this kumbaya moment. Let's roast some marshmallows. Let's sing Sweet Low, Sweet Chariots. And let's have some cocoa by the campfire with a bunch of people watching. And hope that builds trust and support again.
Carol said she'd like you to finish the comment that you...
I can't find it, Carol. There's hundreds of comments here. Lonnie Murray says, I have so much respect for Dave Morris. Bill McChesney says it's a kinder, gentler solution. Is he talking block to block?
I'm not sure.
Oh, man. 1:24. I got a 1:30 Zoom call here. We got 5 minutes left. Some guy that's trying to bring a new venture to market. Georgia Gilmer, could it be possible that council is afraid to confront the activists for fear of being canceled or worse?
100%.
I think that is 100% what's happening here. Don't you?
Yeah, I don't think they want to lose...
And the crazy thing is, like, a guy like Brian Face...
Liberal cred?
I think a guy like Brian Pinkston has... what, 3 months left? 3.5 months left?
Yeah, not much time.
What does Pinkston have to lose? Pinkston Pinkston's legacy on council is akin to milk toast. He's like when you go to Ben and Jerry's and you have Rocky Road and fish food and cookie dough and Neapolitan. He's the tub that's right there that's vanilla, that doesn't have any scoops taken out of it. Milk toast. Pinkston, you legitimately have 100 days left on council. How will you be remembered? What is your legacy? He's the second one that I'm most disappointed with. Wade with how he managed the meeting. Pinkston with the fact that he's at the end of the road. He's not going to run again. He's lost twice. He's won one. His record is 1-2. That's not going to be a fourth try. It's not going to be a fourth plate appearance.
Sadly, I think in all of the council members, the lack of response was as much apathy as it was, and potentially more apathy than it was fear of the cancel crowd. Obviously, I can't speak to them individually, but
Vanessa says Pinkston still has to live in the community when his time on council is done. Fair enough. Bob Shada, bring all of the trailers from the UVA area that has been housing the athletes now that the new building is opening. Carol, I think, has reposted her comment again. With respect, I think many people consider your commentaries inflammatory. They do. That's what the show's about. I recall times when your statements were taken out of context and I defended you to others. My having hurt what you said in its entirety. If we believe in free speech and the American principle to express one's opinion, no matter how offensive they may be to others, that was what was attacked yesterday. Yes, you may be challenged for what you say or even held accountable to a degree, but speech should never cost one their life, especially in America. I agree. That's what we're saying. We're 100% saying this. There's consequences to free speech, but those consequences to free speech are not murder. There's consequences to free speech, heckling, ridicule, and damning commentary while you're speaking before city council on behalf of a lobbying group. But those consequences should never be violence. All right, I got a 1:30 that I got to get ready for. Literally 60 seconds. Remember, we're off next week. You got, I'm very curious to see what the over-under is, ladies and gentlemen, on actual attendance, not announced attendance on Saturday's game. It's a 12 p.m. kickoff, which is the death time slot for fan engagement. And UVA is coming off a loss to NC State where there were dubious coaching decisions made. And the opponent is William & Mary, which does not travel well. If this home game gets less than 35,000 in attendance, that will be back-to-back home games. The first one against Coastal Carolina and this one against William & Mary, where there will be as many empty seats as there are full seats in Scott Stadium. And that should be part of the decision-making when it comes to retaining the coach, Tony Elliott, or not. It's wins and losses. It's economic development. It's literally setting the tone and tempo for a department that is tens of millions, 100 plus millions of dollars. 10:15 a.m. tomorrow, Real Talk with Keith Smith. 10:15 a.m. tomorrow, and then we close the week before vacation with the I Love CVille show at 12:30. Judah Wickower and Jerry Miller.